Right, to learn a little more about today's court proceedings, Nicole Fritz is with us from the organisation Freedom Under Law. And firstly, the Chief Justice, and he really was on a mission today confirming what most people knew, that in spite of what the Minister and President Zuma have said, this is a crisis.
Absolutely. He was categorically clear about that, and I think that we had to have anticipated that being the court's demeanour once it issued those questions to Sassa and the Minister asking for answers in respect of its failure to abide by that previous court ruling that was issued in 2014.
Nicole, the worrying part of this is CPS itself saying, and I quote, that if no deal is inked by the end of today, in other words, close of business today, it's not going to pay grants by the 1st of April. This has been disputed by the Finance Minister, as we know. But that is a worrying overlay to this whole case, isn't it?
Well, so the submission made today was that they required 12 working days in order to make those payments for the money to roll through. One has to, have faith in the court. I mean, it is not going to put in danger payment of social grants. It understands the calamity that would mean. That's not going to happen.
Judgment reserved, so it's putting a fair amount of pressure on the Constitutional Court itself to make its decision.
Absolutely, but the court can issue its order very quickly, and reasons can follow.
Just in terms of your position, Freedom Under Law, then, it's your contention that this contract, however flawed it is and has been with CPS, needs to be extended by 1 year. Is that the best option, given that you have other players coming into the equation, like the Post Office saying, putting up their hand saying, well, pick us?
So, I don't think, given the situation, that one wants to sort of immediately change to a new untried party. The department, Sassa, is contending that the only player that is able to carry out this is CPS. We're saying if that's the reality, it needs to be subject to scrutiny, to discipline. So the current contract needs to be extended or a new contract entered into, but only so long as is necessary, so that a new tender process can be put in place that would allow for a lawful contract to be awarded. So the contract to subsist only so long as is necessary for this lawful tender process.
Of course, the bench itself was fairly cynical about that, though. Mogoeng saying, one, how much has CPS been banking per month from Sassa? How much will it get in a new agreement from the organisation? Secondly, and again I quote, will you be able to render the service without milking the system? They're very cynical about this.
Sure. I mean, it must be remembered that what Freedom Under Law is in fact asking is that a no benefit rule apply, so that CPS in fact cannot benefit from the invalid contract, which is what gives it the privilege of incumbency. So for this contract to carry forward, it must do so at the current price. And that is what we're asking for the court to determine. So the court needs to be quite specific in terms of how this contract will go forward or a new contract will be entered into.
What's your understanding of this phrase supervisory jurisdiction in terms of whoever gets it and the role that the court needs to play, or whoever else, as some applicants have suggested?
So I mean, there obviously have been various parties who've been suggested, the Auditor General, the Public Protector, or any other independent assessor that the court would appoint. But they would be reporting very regularly to the court. And we saw the court play a supervisory jurisdiction in respect of its last order. It discharged its supervisory jurisdiction on the assurance by Sassa and the department that it was contracting in the capacity so that it could actually pay these grants itself. It was only on the basis of that assurance that it discharged its supervisory jurisdiction. So for the court to resume it, which we have to assume it will do, I mean, I think you're going to see very close assessment and monitoring of any agreement that goes forward.
But that failure by the department led to the ire of many judges today. Again, Mogoeng saying and asking how Sassa and the Minister Batabile Dlamini, again, and I quote, come to make themselves look incompetent in the social grants payment debacle. So there was an expectation that there would be delivery. That never happened.
Right. And I think, I mean, one doesn't want to anticipate what the court's ordering, but it is possible that we will see contempt of court orders in respect of the Minister and certain Sassa officials. And in fact, there's been a request that costs ordered be paid personally by various officials and ministers in order to discipline them, because in fact this crisis eventuates as a result of their conduct.
It's been a fairly bruising day. Do we have a sense, and again I understand that you're a player in this process as well, as to which way it might go? Who won the day? How do you leave the court today?
I mean,
in what frame of mind?
It's clear that what happens next is that there is going to be a process that is strictly disciplined by the court. We don't know if it's going to be an extension of the existing contract or if it's going to be a new contract. But whatever process that is, it is going to be very clearly monitored and supervised by the court.
Sorry, Nicole, I mean, is there a sense that the beneficiaries themselves tonight who would be watching this with a great deal of anxiety might rest a little easier?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the beneficiaries must rest easily. I don't think that they can think that this court process puts in any danger the payment of the grants. I think they have to know that what will weigh uppermost in the court's mind is that payments have to be made come the 1st of April. But they will know that the payment of those grants is not being done at huge profits that burdens the fiscus unnecessarily, that puts at risk our country's ability to provide for those who are most vulnerable. So absolutely, I think it must give some confidence and measure of calm to the recipients of these grants.
Appreciate you popping in tonight. Thank you very much indeed, Nicole Fritz from Freedom Under Law.